Hello, and welcome to another tonalist landscape oil painting demonstration. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy, and the painting I'm bringing you today is called, it has a very imaginative and temporary title of Monochromatic River. Now, this one's a bit of a straggler. I actually painted this back in, I don't know, last month or something. Let's see what the date we got here is. Oh, it's not helping me. How disappointing that is. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to waste your time. It was painted last month, I think, and I just had done a huge spate of monochromatics, and I didn't want to like overwhelm the channel with that. I am 90% sure that I painted this one with Mars Black, which is a very interesting color, and whether I'll remember to actually use it much is the question. But what distinguishes Mars Black from other blacks is that it is opaque, and every other black is transparent. Supposedly, black spinel is opaque as well, but it's such a fine particulate. I use it transparently all the time. So, but I guess it is actually officially rated as an opaque. But Mars Black is opaque, and it's opaque in a muddy sort of way, whereas spinel is just kind of flat. Yeah. Anyway, it's difficult to compare and contrast the two without them in front of me. But either way, you're getting a black, and I bought a tube of Mars Black just to kind of, try it out. And it certainly has its uses. And one place I think I would use it would be, say, if I was setting up a limited palette with like an earth tone limited palette, which I may do. I saw I got a post in the members area from one of the members there, and they were outlining a limited earth tone palette that was being used by Kevin McPherson. That sounds sort of interesting. The thing is, like, Kevin McPherson has an allergy to actual black, except he will sneakily use it. Anyway, Chromatic Black, let's talk about that. I mean, I just did a study which will be coming up this week, and it's a limited palette demonstration, and the Chromatic Black there was created with phthalo green and alizarin crimson, which gives you a pretty good black. I used that for years, but I have to say I felt the real absence of black. I use it a lot, and everyone's different, and that's one of the reasons why I've been stressing the limited palettes, just to kind of bring it around. Um, this painting we're doing here, very limited. It's going to be two colors, black and white. But a lot of paintings that are considered monochromatic actually include a third color, like a blue or red or yellow or what have you. And I did a little research actually, so I wouldn't just be burbling about the stuff I usually burble about. I wanted to bring in some new burble. Anyway, I found a post, liveabout.com. It's an art glossary monochromatic painting. Let's see what he has to say, by Marion Brody Evans. This was written in April 30th, 2018. So according to Marion, a monochrome or monochromatic painting is one created using only one color or hue. A related term, griselle, is a type of monochrome painting done completely in grays, coming from the French and Latin and Spanish term for gray. And this is basically a griselle we're doing today. So you could distinguish a monochrome from a griselle in that way. As a tool, monochrome painting can be used to dramatic effect to convey simplicity, peacefulness, starkness, purity, or other meaning. It can use different shades of one color, but by definition should contain only one base color. Done as an exercise, painting in monochrome can educate an artist on working with shades and gradients, composition, and line. And that's about all I want to read from that article, because he's very nicely said what I think about monochromatic painting. Now, what's interesting is that I sort of do a kind of a version of a monochromatic painting to start all my paintings. Like what you see me doing now with the one color, it's not so different than the way I start all my paintings, which is usually one color and usually black. The difference is here when I start going into finish the painting, I just finish it with values, working the black and the white together to make a gray. In a sense, the gray acts almost as my hue. So if I was to say, and I did do a painting which I'll be putting up very soon, it was a monochromatic done with ultramarine blue, just to fully explore ultramarine blue. And I'm trying to give ultramarine blue another chance because I really don't like it. But getting off that issue. And so going back to what I was starting to say before I read that little article, the colors on your palette, it's the number one question I get on the channel all the time. What colors do you use? Da 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 da. And people do believe there's some magic in the tubes. And in the sense, there of course is magic in the tubes, but the reality is that I recommend everyone start out with very, very simple and basic palette. And I'm working up to all of these paintings I've been doing. I've been working up to the M. Francis McCarthy limited palette, which would, I think right now, definitely have titanium white, cad yellow medium, alizarin crimson, phthalo blue, and I would add black. If I had to extend that, like the lovely fellow had mentioned in the membership post, there was a Kevin McPherson palette that actually has cadmium red and alizarin crimson, which I could see covering a lot of bases. So that would give you, because if you had cad red, that cad red and the black would make a fantastic brown. You wouldn't really even miss the burnt sienna. Now, I was looking through Kevin McPherson's book, very interesting, because this book must have been written before his other book, where his limited palette has like 6 colors. This book has like 5 colors. Yeah, it's the and he changed paint brands as well. This is the book I have is Fill Your Paintings with Light and Color, which I highly recommend picking up, by the way. And Landscape Painting Inside and Out is also a great book. Those are his 2 awesome books. I had always assumed Inside Out was the first one, but I think that's wrong. I think it's the second, because he changed paint brands and he extended his palette. But he was making the point, getting to my point, that he could mix anything he needed with these 5 colors. And if that was true, he would still be working with that limited palette. He never would have extended it. That's not to denigrate the limited palette. And I have to say that the M. Francis limited palette I just outlined was a variation of his palette, without the black. Of course, he doesn't use the black. If I had that black, I have a lot of flexibility that because you can produce grays very easily with black and white. You can tint your grays. The big challenge I saw with the limited palette I did last week was coming up with grays that were neutral was a real challenge. You would have to mix up a giant pile of it. And then that's actually what you do with this limited palette. And the interesting thing was, it's like he was positioning this as being a good plein air palette, but it seems to me, painting in plein air, I would want a completely different palette that I could get the colors I wanted at without so much bother. And that's the difference. Okay, so the colors I keep on my palette, I keep because I am constantly having to mix equivalents, colors like yellow ochre, colors like burnt sienna. I can mix those colors with an extremely limited palette, but it's an extra step, and it's a pain in the keister. Yeah. Anyway, this painting is a monochromatic, so in the sense of a super, super limited palette. But what would be the value of doing monochromatic paintings? Well, first off, if you're starting out, you don't have to worry about color. You just have to get your values down. Also, if you change your mindset about the gray, like I was saying, when I do a painting like this, to me the gray, that middle gray that I arrive at by mixing the black and the white, is a color. It's definitely a color, and this gray is sort of coolish, so it's not even completely neutral. Many times when I do want to neutralize a monochromatic painting I'm doing with gray, I will bring out the raw umber and just use it to tint the grays. That's a bit of cheating as far as calling it a monochromatic, but that's the thing too. It's like, no, I don't know if anyone out there has actually put out a 100% neutral gray as a paint tube color. That might be very interesting because like the Portland grays you get from Gamblin, they hit a value. So they'll hit 50% gray or 60% gray. They're even labeled like that. But that gray that's produced with the bone black and the ivory black slash bone black um, and white is a very cool gray. And I have to say this gray being created with the Mars black is still pretty cool as well. It's not overwhelmingly warm. If I wanted to get to something I felt was neutral, like I say, I have to start chucking in some dirt, some raw umber or what have you, to get things looking good. Yeah. Anyway, I've been wanting to get this video up. Now this is also going to be in the live area, and the advantage there is that instead of listening to me just burble on about what's on the top of my head as I do in these 15-minute videos, um, in the landscape painting videos you have a lot of quiet interspersed with prescient notions about painting derived, from what I'm actually doing. So it's very much like the experience of being a fly in the wall in the studio, and that's the value of it. If I could have had an opportunity like that when I was starting out, I would have given my eye teeth. But I don't accept eye teeth as payment, and neither does YouTube. We accept American dollars, and membership costs $6, $5.99 a month, and there's 80 live videos up there. Another great thing you could do is tip on over to my website. If you're interested in supporting me and helping me out with this channel, go ahead, buy a painting. There's some nice little ones there for very good price that are totally awesome. And then there's some bigger ones that are even more awesome for a slightly bigger price. Also, you could just give me a donation. That would be great. And I'll use that to go buy another tube of paint. Anyway, until I come back with another video, do me a favor, please. Take good care of yourself, your family, all your loved ones. Be patient with people, especially people that have views that differ from your own, especially in this political season. And take good care. Stay out of trouble.